It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. You donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome back, folks, to the Notre Dame crowd is getting a little restless. We need to talk about it. The chat is dark. It's taken a dark turn. I understand it. I've been where this chat is at about the vibe of the beginning of 25. I didn't like the way it felt, the way it trended, the way things were going, the timeline on anything, and it looks like I'm not alone in that. There's a lot to discuss. Are we overreacting, or is it all legit? Edition of the Always Irish Show. Hey, Connor, down there in Florida. I gotta, before we get into this, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. Calls 312-988-15, dialed up. Tell Johnny all you heard and seen. Is the anxiety warranted about the way 25 seemingly has gotten off to a shaky, slow start? Are we overreacting? Do we have an obligation to give more patience to the new GM to get situated? Is that a reason to make you feel a little better about some of the recruiting misses? Is that fair, or is that run out of time? Or did you expect everybody else to pick up the slack while there was no GM and Chad was learning how to surf? What do you... It's a little frustrating. I think because of my emotions and the way I operate, I was a little early on not the panic, but the concern button. Some people have told me to chill out on it. And then every single day, there's more news that is on the ledger of there's some anxiety here. Let's get into it. Connor, I got a question for you. You're down in Florida, I think South Florida. Here's my question. I was thinking of the off-season football numbers are not good. And it isn't just my show. It's for everybody. Everybody, I think, needs a break. Unless you're a psychopath, like all of you guys. People need a break, and the numbers aren't going to be good again until August when the season cranks. I'm thinking, what can Johnny Boy do in the offseason to crank up some views and entertain the people? Connor, I thought of you. Do you know anybody that goes and hunts them pythons in the Everglades? I ain't touching one, but imagine me out there with some snake hunter with a camera just recording my view, like me reacting to these snakes. I'm thinking, because I'm going to Florida in a few days, I'm thinking about it. And on YouTube, there's all these channels that are dedicated to just people going into the Everglades and hunting these snakes and recording it and everything. I ain't getting near one, but could you just imagine my reaction to a guy grabbing a huge python out of the weeds? I was just thinking of it since I'm going to be in Florida, man. Yeah, the troll and the IQ rankings. I'm telling you, I don't have no high IQ. You don't know that by now? I did not get here or my little position in this niche due to IQ. I can tell you that. Oh, man. You can make money doing it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get $100 for every snake you reel in, and one of them might wrap around your neck. And you're gone in the Everglades, but you can get $100 if you bring in this snake skeleton carcass. I can't understand it. I'm watching these YouTube videos, and these guys are just, oh, there's a poisonous snake. Let me grab it. What? Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? I can't believe some of these YouTube channels. And then you know how it is. You watch one of them, And then it feeds you in the algorithm. And these guys they're walking through the Everglades barefoot at night. There's an alligator. There's a crocodile. There's a 20-foot python. No big deal. What? Are you kidding me? John's trying to be Coyote Peterson. I don't know who that is, but it sounds like a cool name. I have no idea who that is, but I like it. Connor, you got it. I knew you would have a recommendation for me. I'm not touching them things, and I ain't getting anywhere near them. I just want the content of me reacting. I don't do snakes, man. You know me. Trust nothing without legs. If it don't have legs, you can't trust it. I'm telling you. This is life advice, you guys. I've been around. I'm a man. I'm 40. I've been around. Let me give you some life advice. You don't trust nothing without legs. It's just, you can't trust anything without legs. That goes for sharks, any sort of marine activity, and it definitely goes for snakes. You don't trust nothing without legs. You know why? If it doesn't have legs, you don't know how to estimate how long it's going to take to get you. Do you feel me? A shark, got no legs. There's nothing you can relate to. And the thing, your Jaws, you're Quint from Jaws. You're going to need a bigger boat. You can't trust anything without legs. And so sharks, and obviously the swimming thing, they're so fast. And then snakes, here's the, man, you can't, you're just like, oh, look at that snake. And it's just, you don't know, you don't know how far away. I don't trust in no dolphin. I don't know. I don't care what it is. I ain't trusting Flipper. I ain't trusting any of this stuff. You can't trust anything without legs. I saw that story, Dan. A shark ate a surfer, and they're like, oh, yeah, a huge shark, and now the guy's disappeared, and they can't find him. Yeah, I wonder where he went. Quint from Jaws, bro. Quint in Jaws. That's what I think. So, anyways, you just, you guys have some good chats. We're going to get to. Flipper was a great show. Picture Lassie in the water. That's kind of what I remember. We watched Lassie growing up. Like, oh, Timmy fell down a well. Well, this collie's going to figure it out. Like, the collie was like MacGyver. And then Flipper was basically, how did we end up talking about this? Flipper ended up being like the Lassie of the water, just saving the day or whatever. But dude, like a snake, you're like, oh, look at that snake. And it's just curled up in the grass. And you never know nothing. You don't know that strike. You don't know. You don't know how far away you got to be safe from a snake, man, because the thing is just there and it's all cool and everything and it's got you. So I just think it would be, I've always wanted to go to the Everglades just to check out the wildlife, but I ain't touching nothing. I ain't getting near it. But recording the content of me just reacting to it, I think, given the play-by-play, I think would be a hit. Connor, I got to get down there in the Glades, baby. An Illinois boy in the Glades. Homer TD says, most people have legs, and you can't trust a lot of people. Don't get me started on people. I much prefer, unless it's the Always Irish extended family, I much prefer the company of animals, just not snakes and sharks. Man. Flipper was a good show, man. How about Rin Tin Tin Canine Cop? You remember that show? Man, those were some good shows when we were growing up. All right, I'm off track. 415, we're coming to you, the call-in line. I want to go over these chats. Here's the deal. We trusted you and you promised do-rags. Here's the issue. The Shopify store I use to buy the products and get them made to put in there are so expensive for a custom do-rag. I got to find a cheaper way. Alf was great. Didn't Alf eat cats? And I'm fine with that because I'm allergic to cats. I'm fine with that. I don't trust a cat neither. You can't trust a cat. No one can trust a cat. All they do is sit around plotting. You ever look at a cat and you're just like, you're up to something and I don't know what it is. And I already told that story when I was with my, who do I trust more, snakes or cats? I guess a cat, because it's less likely to literally kill me. But I don't trust no. And I'm more familiar with cats because I told that story. I went to my new girlfriend's place for Thanksgiving and I'm all trying to be on my best behavior and the extended family's there and you're trying to impress them and everything. And they got these damn long-haired cats in there. A half hour into Thanksgiving dinner, Johnny's got his head on the table turning purple. Way to make a good impression. The one day you bring your new boyfriend home and I'm laying out there on the patio seizing. Give me a break. Anyways, let's get the show back on track and go over some of your anxiety, okay? And we'll go over whether it's fair. Yeah, I don't know if she knew I was allergic. Maybe it never came up or maybe she was trying to kill me early. I don't know which. As always, you can find... Man, this got off to a good start. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Johnny out as well. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. Sweet and sour chicken. The only Chinese I eat is, what is it? Orange chicken and fried rice. That's as fancy as I get, baby. That's about it. Twitter, search bar always. If Twitter's up and running, Twitter, search bar always Irish, rat, always Irish, emails, always Irish, at gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it. Don't want to see my face. Nobody blames you. How do you think I feel? Call in lines. You know them. 312-900-8815. Dialed up. Tell the crocodile hunter. Oh, you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by SI. Read all about it. Not just football, women's basketball, the men's basketball, whatever. We got it for you. We got it for you. There's some good chats today. I got to get to these. These are good. And so here's the deal. First things first, a little announcement. As you can see on the screen, Goolsby and I are going to do a live little, like a 45-minute hour post-game show at the linebacker after the game. And we just need, stay away from stingrays. Talk about something else I don't trust. Swimming around all skinny and flat, and then sword. You know what, though? I got to give you this. If the crocodile hunter was going to go down, having it be some freaky thing in nature with him doing what he loves to do and a 1 in a million bad luck thing with him in nature is the way to go. For the crocodile hunter, you remember growing up, that dude was legit, man. That dude, oh, look at this snake. No big deal. He's harmless, whatever. God bless that guy. If he is going to go out anyway, getting stabbed through the heart by a stingray seems in a weird way to be most appropriate, to be honest. Did you also see his kids do what he does now? And they're like real sweet and nice. I think there's a girl and a guy, and they both do they were little kids in the show when we were growing up, and now they do what he does to keep it going. It's actually a pretty cool family thing. Norm Macdonald, his bid on this is, I've said the same thing. Like, if ever there was a way for the crocodile hunter to die, that would be it, man. That would be it. And so, Angela, Bindi, and Robert, dude, I think it's cool how they kept it going. But if that guy's going to go out in some tragedy, that's the way to do it. God bless him. Man, we're off the rails. Kent said, well, it's the big slow. You know what's the big slow? Notre Dame's recruiting operation is the big slow. You guys, we just can't get nothing going. We just can't. Roger Dodger, never go out in the ocean. You don't got to tell me twice. I'm going to Florida. I ain't going in any more than about my knees or waist deep to get some cold water on me, and I'm out. I don't need these problems, bro. I don't need these problems. At least we got rid of Ronald McDonough. I don't know where Ronald is, man. Maybe he's working overtime at the fry station. Maybe he's fixing one of them ice cream machines. It's always broken. I don't know where he's at. Jay Carr. John's daughter will be running this show complaining about recruiting in 25 years. I don't know, man. I don't know. Brian, Norm Macdonald, 40 years old is a ripe age for a crocodile hunter. Literally, that's what I mean when I say, if that guy's going to go out, there's no more natural way than some freaky thing like that, because he's the crocodile hunter, bro. That was a wild story though. So couple things today. Number one is good luck to the basketball team. We're going to see what's going on later on today. It's the Masters and March Madness is a good time to work from home and be able to set your own schedule. The game's at like 1:30 our time or something. Be able to chill out and watch that. So tune in for that. Support them, I guess. See how it goes. And what else are you going to do on the middle of a Wednesday? You got that going for you. Couple things today. One is I want to know if we're overreacting to some of the recruiting stuff, or if it's we need to have a little patience and let the recruiting operation get set, get settled, get going, figure out their roles. I've been saying this for a while. Do we need to just chill out? Also, Goolsby brought up 415. I'm coming to you. Goolsby brought up, John, we've been complaining that Notre Dame's been landing these top-end guys and then losing them late in a cycle. Is there such a thing that they're changing it up? And they don't want to, and they're not going to allow themselves to have these high-level guys commit to them and then burn them later and like use Notre Dame to leverage other deals for a year for NIL or anything else and leverage the Notre Dame commitment? Goolsby's brought it up. And he's like, John, maybe something needs to change with that process and it's going to look and feel different. I don't know. P-Dub says all the commits USC's gotten are West Coast kids. SPF, no, you're not overreacting. Recruiting will be different going forward. There'll be less flip and decommits. Whatever, man. All I'm saying is it has been real sleepy with the recruiting stuff, man. Real sleepy. And it's just, it makes me... You can't ignore, even though you're frustrated, it is a reality that Notre Dame played in the last game of the year. They're a month behind most everybody else in terms of getting a start on 25, filling in personnel roles, right? You're a month, you played a month later than everybody else. Then right after that, you had all these changes and then you had to hire people. You're just behind. You're behind, and it's for a good reason because you played in the last game of the year. Would have been a better reason if you won it, but you played in the last game of the year. All of your stuff's behind a month. Do we have an obligation to just chill out a little bit? Just chill out a little bit and let this all get situated. That's not the way I operate because I'm wound so tight. That's not how I operate because I'm just always worried about everything with Notre Dame just because it's in my nature. The Kennedys are worriers, man. We worry. So whatever. Somebody else said too. Somebody else. Come here. Eric Tomel, $20 holler, my lawyer in Michigan. God bless you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Commander. Teams all across the country are taking the recruits, and we're blaming it on a long season. Ohio State seems to be just fine with their recruiting. Don't trust everything Johnny tells us is the lesson. You always take whatever I throw out, pick an angle, and then go 100% hard in that way, and then frame it that I say 100% something. This is what you do. You always do it. And it's actually good for conversation because you mix it up. But I throw out like a couple ideas. I started this by asking the question. I asked the question. It wasn't a statement of fact, but I asked the question, do you have an obligation to just chill out and relax a little bit on all this and it'll get cranked up? Or is it legitimately time to be frustrated? All I did is ask the question to get your guys' opinion, and now it's a fact that I'm misleading you and I'm making excuses. I'm literally trying to figure it out with you guys live on the internet. Live on the internet. I'm just trying to figure out where you guys are at. So, couple things. 312-900-8815. The recruiting anxiety, is it legitimate or not? And to what extent and why? That's one part of it. And then the general topic I had today is I want to know what you think of, I want to know what you think of the position groupings entering spring. I want to know, what do you feel good about? What do you feel bad about? Like, I'm wondering where you're at with these position groups offensively and defensively entering spring before we have any more data. That's what I'm looking at. Commander, we're on the same side at the end of the day, Johnny. I'll take that. I like being challenged, by the way, too. That's exciting for me. That's fun for me. I like, as long as it's not bad faith. Like, some people are just bad faith on purpose to prove a point or nail me or whatever. I like being challenged as long as it's legitimate. So I don't know, man. It's just, I'm getting, Tex ND. I agree with your point, Commander, but that's not what John is saying. That's what I'm saying. Whatever I say, he hears it a certain way, and then it comes out the way that he reads it in his mind. And then I adjust from there. I don't know, man. I don't know. Joshua Finn says, Freeman just developed and took an injury-depleted program to 3 playoff wins and a championship game. And you guys are worried? Yes, because that was last year, and I need you to do it again this year. And I want more talent. Like, that's my answer. I love all that stuff. I respect all that stuff. I'm proud of Marcus Freeman for the development that he showed in 3 short seasons in one of the 3 toughest jobs in America. President, Yankee manager, Notre Dame coach. I'm telling you, he's done a good job developing that very, very quickly through some challenging times. But I'm worried about next year. Like, that's just the way it's going. I'm sorry. I'm worried about next year. I can't live off last year forever unless you win a championship. Goolsby and I debated that on Monday night. He was like, how different would this all be if you won the championship? It'd be a lot different if you beat Ohio State because you would have a championship. And that is the ultimate thing that will buy you patience and whatever else. And the other thing is, if you're like, oh, Ohio State's recruiting fine and they played in the last game of the year, 1, they won the championship. That should help in recruiting. And 2, Ohio State is on a different path than Notre Dame as far as proving some of these positions can go right into the NFL. Goolsby talks about it all the time. Like, you're going to have to start putting guys in the NFL in positions we're not right now, like wide receiver. And then you'll be able to get it going. Burke says something isn't right about Notre Dame recruiting. I'm wondering if the most logical thing is, nope. Here we go again with Commander. Here we go again. Something isn't right with Notre Dame recruiting. I do think it's fair to mention the late start and then having to hire a GM and redo that whole recruiting room. Here's what I want to get across. That is not an excuse to not land good recruits because you got a late start, but it could be a legitimate practical reason that right now you're off to a shaky start. Is that not fair of me to at least, when you ask why could this be, you gotta acknowledge we got off to a rough start and then you thought you're Iron Blanchard and then a week or 2 goes by, that falls through and then you keep going and then you got to hire another guy. Okay, and you're behind. I don't like it either. But I'm just bringing it up as an option. USC's killing it in recruiting, right? Yeah, hang 10, bro. Catch a wave, take the recruits out to LA, whatever you're going to do, man. Whatever you're going to do. D-Lo G. Sounds like Warren G's cousin or something. D-Lo G. It was a clear back night. A clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets trying to consume. Chad took the ND blueprint to USC. Well, then he should never land any good wide receivers if that's the plan. If that's the plan, he's never going to land any good receivers. I'm anticipating commits on the Pot of Gold day. There you go. You could do God, Commander, you have a good point on this one. This is it. I got to tell you guys, this was a good point. Why did Freeman hire a GM who already said himself he has no clue what the job even is? I got to admit, Commander, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Commander, I literally, when his introductory press conference happened, callers, I'm coming to you. when his first press conference, his introductory one. And I didn't know Mike Martin. I know 5 people in my real life named Mike Martin. None of them are this guy. And he gets up there. And this is the guy that's in charge of running all of Notre Dame's talent acquisition efforts. And he's like, yeah, this college recruiting thing, that's going to be new to me, man. I got to have to learn what the deal is with that. I literally hit pause on YouTube and I just sat and I thought about it. And I'm like, this is the guy in charge of all of our talent acquisition. And his introductory press conference, he's saying, yeah, I don't know about this college recruiting stuff. Gonna have to get up to speed. What? That doesn't make me feel any better. Son of a buck. But ND has a history, wide receivers, Notre Dame doesn't. I know. I'm just kind of poking fun at it, but kind of being serious about it at the same time. I'm just telling you. Oh, man. Oh, rough. All right. Couple of these good chats, then we'll go to the call. Some of the early ones were good. Sly. Chad really loves trolling us. Getting legacy Mosley stings. Hopefully we can turn recruiting around. Good for Chad, man. He's living the Cali life. Dream of Californication. Makes me think of the Chili Peppers. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and seen at the blue and gold game. The big thing on recruiting is NDS start offering these recruits some money straight up. I don't like it either, but it's what the top guys want now. And there is some debate of how willing Notre Dame is to pay these recruits as freshmen and guarantee them a fat NIL deal just to sign with Notre Dame, not get in the building and maybe in 2 years, if you're a good little boy and you go to school, then we'll find some money for you. You ain't landing 4- and 5-star guys that way. It ain't going to happen. Why would you just logically think about it if you're one of these kids and you think football is your future for your family? And you have an opportunity to go to Notre Dame for no straight up money, and maybe in 2 years you could get some or whatever. And then another place that's a good football place that puts people in the NFL is offering you a bunch of money up front. It's hard for Notre Dame to win that battle. 4 for 40, I understand that, but you got to get these kids to understand it the way we do. It's just so frustrating. Nikki Dean. O-line, running backs, linebackers are all going to be a strength. The D-line and wide receivers, again, are weaknesses. That tracks pretty closely with some of what I have, Nick, as far as where I think this is at. And we'll get into it, but you're on it on some of those things. Mark, I wish USC Twitter did not block all of us so we could respond to the trolling they're doing. I'm definitely blocked. I think it's a weak move. I have never posted anything inappropriate, across the line, vulgar, nothing. A couple innocent tweet trolls is all it took. And the literal USC football account has blocked me and a bunch of other Notre Dame people on Twitter. And I just think it is the weakest. I just think it's very, very weak. If you're a fan account and you don't want to deal with me and block me, that's one thing. I just think the actual football program should be above caring what I say, tweeting from my basement. But they do. So I can't see what they're posting. I can see what they're posting. I can't click or respond or do anything. Mark, USC's posted on social media like a teenage TikToker looking for attention. Whatever, man. Chad's got to feel pretty good about himself now. He's got the sunshine on his side. LA money. He's feeling good. I wonder if Chad would be doing this level of trolling if he ended up in Michigan last year. Probably, because Michigan and USC are like the 2 schools we ate more than anything else. There's just something about last cycle, he almost left and went to Michigan. And then this cycle, it's USC. It's just weird to me. It's like, dude, could you do anything else to like nail the Notre Dame people, but go to those places? Tex ND. Losing a double legacy wide receiver to USC is a real kick in the teeth, and it shows our current wide receiver recruiting is an absolute mess. 2 years in a row. But hey, it's all good. Something's got to change, man. Something's got to change. And I don't know what it is. I'm not acting like I have all the answers, but you got to figure out a way to be more efficient and effective here. We're at the point in our recruiting where we celebrate and give kudos for visits. I've seen that shift, and it's mentally weak. I've seen the shift of everybody saying, don't worry about it. There's some guys that are going to come and look at Notre Dame or whatever. Bro, if that's where we're at on moving the needle, that's not good. It's just not good. I understand that could lead to stuff and whatever. And there's going to be people that know more about recruiting than me that say to have patience or whatever. I am not celebrating a visit. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen unless we start proving that the guys that take visits, you lock in and they love Notre Dame and you get a bunch of them that commit when they're on that visit, then I'll change my mind. Until then, no. Visits are visits, man. I take a visit all the time to the store. I'm not committing to it. I'm sorry. Texas, Mac. We always end up on the outside looking in on these recruits. Need to open up the purse strings. I don't know, man. That just seems like a cop-out, cheap excuse or way out of this, but maybe it's the answer. And now we have a GM who knows nothing about college football. Recruiting is definitely moving in the wrong direction. We are indeed. I'm telling you, I paused the YouTube video during that guy's presser, and I just had to sit there and think, wait a second, what did he say? And I went back, and he's like, yeah, this whole college recruiting thing, I don't really know about it. Hopefully I figured out. So this is the whatever, man. He did a lot of good things with the Lions. They went from a disgrace to competitive in the 4-year span he was there, and I want to think about that on the high end on the evaluations. But like Mike said, Goolsby said, evaluating a free agent in the NFL is a lot different than evaluating a 16-year-old sophomore in high school that is going to physically develop and change. Mike brings up really good points as a former player and as an analyst on these body types and the measurables. And he's like, dude, it's a lot easier to recruit a free agent and evaluate them in the NFL when there's a body of work at that level to look at than it is a 16-year-old. And you have to estimate what you think he's going to turn into when his body develops more. Totally different. Sly, let's do IQ rankings. I don't have the highest IQ. I just try hard. Tex ND. If we can't land a double legacy recruit, we are screwed. The office, Michael Scott, we are screwed. It is my job to calm the troops and let everybody know it's okay and be their leader. We are screwed. Jay Carr. If this continues after the spring game, I'm going to be worried. Let the spring game and the visits happen, get some commits. And here's the other complaint people have. Some people are going to say we're nitpicky. The other complaint people have is, a lot of times when we do get these recruits or whatever, it's in areas that seem like they're redundant or already in a good shape or are already in good shape and you're used to it and you're not getting the ones in the places we need it to try and like, that's another angle on this that I've heard is it's like, oh yeah, we get the same position group guys that commit, but we're not changing the areas we feel like we're a little bit behind in, like wide receiver, for example. Whatever. SPF. ND missed out on 2 wide receivers this week, Clemson and USC. USC is setting the recruit world on fire, building a fence around Southern Cal. Yeah, that should be what it's like all the time at USC. It just should be. I imagine the Seawalk pulled in the ladies, Johnny. You have no idea. You have no idea, man. You know what I actually did? You got to remember how old I am. You got to keep in mind how old I am. I'm 40. I'm a man. I'm 40. When I was like a freshman, sophomore in college, Little John was the big thing. Get Low had just come out when I was moving into college freshman year. Get Low was the song of the summer, and it was popping. And I literally went to the gas station. I'm going to let you into Johnny's brain. Okay, here's how I operated. It was Get Low was the number one song. And I mean, from the window to the wall, I mean, it was the whole thing, right? You got to understand it was right when it came out and it was hot. And they had all the music videos with Little John and the East Side Boys and all that stuff. And we're going to these college parties. I'm trying to make an impression. Little John's blasting everywhere we go. Everybody's listening to that song. I went to the gas station, got a red gas container, with the stick and the red gas container. I went to my dorm and I color printed off a bright sign that said Crunk Juice. I printed off 2 of them. I glued them to each side, put some alcohol in that thing, and then I walk into party with a gas container that says Crunk Juice, and I'm the man. I'm over there dancing. I got girls drinking out of the hose. I mean, everybody, it's like, oh my gosh, what's in there? I got to have some. You're dumping it in people's mouth, and we're dancing. I'm telling you, ooh, Johnny's brain. That's how it works. And it probably looked like I was walking around town drinking out of a gas can, which is hilarious, but it was Crunk Juice. Give me a little credit for the creativity. Joseph, 415, I'm coming to you. Joseph, I'm almost caught up. What conference do you think Notre Dame will either join or have a scheduling agreement with after the 29 season ends? I think the Big Ten and the SEC are done playing nice with Notre Dame and doing all this. I feel like they're going to tighten the vice. And if Notre Dame's forced to do it, the Big Ten is a natural fit in all ways. Geographically, educationally, research grant-wise, Olympic sport training, all the things Notre Dame would look for in a conference partner you can find in the Big Ten. No matter how much people crap on Notre Dame from these conferences, they all want Notre Dame in theirs. They acknowledge the brand. If the vice gets tightened so much, I see him in the Big Ten. SPF. Clemson and USC are the 2 hottest recruiting teams of the spring. Yeah, doesn't make me feel any better. I'll tell you that right now. Jay Grizz on the biz. Not saying we're screwed, but year after year, we see with our very own eyes and the talent, the opposition roster where ND's lacking in the holes. It's just frustrating, man. It's just frustrating. CNEP, go Irish. It's March. These teams now have to hold on to the commits until December. That's true. That's true. Anxieties are recruiting. Where are these elite commitments and why aren't we getting any? That's a very fair question. That's a very, very fair question. It's just frustrating. And I just think it was natural. I think it was natural to think Notre Dame just proved so much. In the modern era, for the first time, Notre Dame showed they belong. They showed they could compete in the playoff. They had 3 of these big wins that were really impressive, that everybody was watching. Everyone in the country was watching, like all of this. Freeman got all this credibility nationally for what he did and all this stuff. And Tony, what are you saying? When I go over and do the chats that I saved, it brings me to a different tab to read the words, the chats I saved that I want to read, but then I don't see the live ones coming in. Tony came in out of nowhere hot, and I don't know what he's saying. Text Chris. It shows complete cowardice. They're living in an alternate reality where they get to talk all of the positive projection BS, and then you respond with facts. Blocked. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Man, I understand the anxiety. Maybe when you get into spring ball, you get into blue and gold, you do legitimately get these guys on campus. Maybe things will gain momentum. But I kind of used to think I was just the outlier early on this, saying this doesn't feel right or look right to me. And now it looks like there's maybe some truth to that. And so it's just rough, man. Our O-line was decimated. You were missing 2. We're missing. Oh, okay. So we're debating Ohio State and Notre Dame. And again, I understand this. 415, I'm coming to you for the 6th time. I understand the argument. And I got to tell you, since the game, I have been, go away, Back Bay. I don't care. John, you become an unsufferable Nimrod. All right, well then go away. Why are you here? Go away. How about that? We could do that. I don't know what you want from me, man. I'm sitting here in the beginning of March. There's no real football going on. I'm going over what everybody's talking about, and I'm an unsufferable Nimrod. Well, then how about this? Go away and don't come back. I don't need you. How's that for an answer in March? Go away. Don't come back. I don't need you. And catch me outside. How about that? But yeah, good to see you. And you know what else is always funny too? You every once in a while you catch somebody who comes at you or says what you're doing is horrible or you're dumb or what your angle's bad or you're an idiot or whatever. It's like, okay, go for it. You create your own show and do all that. Let's see how you do on your own. Build it all yourself. Let's see how you do. Let's have everybody critique every single thing you write and you say every single day. Let's see how it goes. It's real easy to just type, I don't like this, or you're an idiot, or whatever. Let's see how you do if you think you're awesome. I don't care. Andrew Gilmore. I think Blue Gold was saying Freeman doesn't like the high pressure commitment stuff. Bowden likes too many soft commitments. Let's see if the new approach works. That I'm open to that, Andrew. And I think before you joined, or before I saw that you wrote this, that's something we went over. And Goolsby's talked about it as well as a possibility that they're changing the way that they're operating and it's going to look different. And maybe in the beginning, you don't notice that and you're not sure if it's part of the plan or if things just aren't going well. Right? So like, I'm open to that. 415, welcome to the show. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, John. How you doing?
I'm okay, man. There's anxiety in Notre Dame land.
There's always anxiety in Notre Dame land, especially in the offseason when things are going the way they are right now with the recruiting.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how much of it is legitimate, full-fledged, honest-to-God, warranted concern, and how much of it is we maybe need to take a breather and relax and let the new group work a little bit before we form opinions. And that is the battle in my mind that I'm going over.
And I think that's, kind of the perception is in the eye of the beholder. I think that, each person is going to have their own reality, their own perception for how bad or how good it's going one way or the other, right? So you can take anything as far as like recruiting or the position battles or just the groups and themselves and spin it one way or the other, whether it's good or bad, So for you and for a lot of people, and including myself, we look at the recruiting and we think to ourselves, okay, what is happening? Like, we know the reasons why. You got new management in, you've got a longer season that was extended. So we understand why the recruiting is, not going to be bolstered up or where we think it should be at this point. But on the flip side, it is one of those ones where I feel good about kind of how things are going because I can see from my own eye how Freeman is kind of building this team and building this culture and building everything together. So he's going for the more NFL style, and I think it's just going to take time, but he has a vision and he's going for it.
Yeah, I do. I think that's fair. I think there's a lot of people that are saying the way Notre Dame's looking at the talent acquisition is going to change. They're going to do things differently, and that's what I kind of wanted, a reset reboot after Chad left. Like, okay, we're 3 years into this. Now we're going to the fourth year. And it's like, we need to retool a little bit. Freeman should be in a much better position entering year 4 to know what works, what hasn't worked, what they need to get better at, what they need to avoid, how to sidestep problems in recruiting. He should have a better idea now than he ever had in the first 3 years. Maybe this is a part of it and we just need to give it time, but it's hard on a natural human level to not look around the landscape and feel like you're falling behind in a way. That's a very human thing when you're looking at other teams get guys you wanted. And the whole Chad USC thing is adding gas to the flames because it's your old guy and now he's kind of trolling you and landing these guys you wanted and living the California life. You know what I mean? That's an extra kicker on the emotion.
No doubt. And, I love the idea of like what Goolsby brought up, right? He's talking about like, do you think that they switched their strategy?
Yeah.
And that they're not trying to put these people on the forefront right away and then give them time to start thinking, okay, well, I'm committed, but still keep an eye out.
Yeah.
And, maybe there is that. And I think it's normal, again, with human nature and behavior. It's just the thing of the psychology of it is that we are not in the room with them. We're not in the office meetings. We're not in those conference calls. We're not talking with them and understanding the philosophy and the mindset behind it. And so we're guessing. Yeah, at best, we're guessing based upon what we're watching. And a lot of times they keep things tight to the chest. So we're not going to be able to understand it fully because of the fact that they maybe don't want us to understand it right now because they're trying something new or they're trying to implement something new.
Yep. And I think what that is naturally going to lead to is anxiety until you see the back end of that plan come to fruition. I'm all for it. Andrew Gilmore just said Blue and Gold was talking about they don't want these soft commitments from high-level guys anymore because they've been leveraged against us for better NIL deals and we lose guys at the last minute. And Freeman's got burnt on the soft commitment thing enough that they're not going to do it at this moment. But what that means is that you're going to have months where you're not landing guys and everybody's going to want to know what the hell's going on. And until it comes back around, that anxiety is going to persist. That anxiety is going to persist. And you're not going to tell Notre Dame, you're not going to tell Notre Dame fans to chill out on recruiting anxiety. It's just not going to work. Ryan Roberts, good to see you. Good to see you, Ryan. I'm sure Ryan does a lot of stuff with like body types in the position and all these guys in position battles. Hey, spring's got to be great for a guy like Ryan that has the eye for that stuff. Not worried about recruiting overall. Very much am a wide receiver and interior D line. And it's interesting he brings that up because when I created the title for the video and broke down my position group confidences, interior D line and wide receiver are obviously top of the list of like, I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And listen, Cross and Mills did a lot of dirty work for you. Not always the flashiest thing, right? Not always the flashiest, but those guys were animals and did a lot of the dirty work for Notre Dame in the middle. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do there? And who's going to step up? I think that's fair, but I'm right with you. I had wide receiver and interior D-line on two of my, I don't know what we're going to get lists. Hope for the best. I will fully believe in those wide receivers when I see them get behind Miami a few times and shut those people up down there. You know?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And especially on Carson Beck. Okay, you want to transfer down to Miami. You already had your entire world stolen from you. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to just take your soul in the backfield. That's what I want to see. And I want to see it early. When it comes to that game, I want to see us getting penetration and getting in there early into the backfield to knock him on his ass. Because you got to take the confidence and you got to take the air out of that stadium ASAP, especially in Miami. Week 0, everybody's got a shot at the championship. Nobody's out.
Yes, exactly.
And so
and the other thing,
now,
offensively, the number one thing you could do to help all that, I'm going to keep saying it until the Miami game's over. All summer, I'm going to say it. If Notre Dame could go in there and that O-line can work early, what a great way. Whatever the quarterback situation is going to be, you're going to have these moving parts and some uncertainty in this big week 1 game. If that O-line could be put together enough to move some people and put together a good run game, man, it is like my number one thing you could do to ease into that game and try and take control. I'm already thinking about it, and it's like 7-8 months away. So can we agree that, let's try and find a consensus here. Can we agree that it's okay to be concerned about recruiting, but also have an open mind and kind of see how the process goes at the same time? I'm trying to be very realistic and not overreact and be all negative. I'm open to maybe they're doing things different and it's going to look and feel different than what we're used to the flow of recruits committing or whatever it's going to be like. I'm open to all of that. But until it comes home to roost in a good way, there's going to be natural fan recruiting anxiety. And I think that's fair. And it's just human nature. That's what it's going to be till you see the results, right?
Completely 100% agree. Yes. In short, yes.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And the Chad thing is just extra. It's an extra kicker for any Notre Dame fan that has recruiting anxiety. And then to see him doing well, and then they troll on Twitter, but nobody can respond because the program's blocked everyone. Like, and it's just that is ramping it up as well, because nobody likes seeing him troll us. And then whatever, man. I don't know. It's frustrating. And it's a weird time of the year.
But John, especially with the fact that it's USC, that is what it. Look, if he's doing this at whatever Texas, I don't even know where, Texas Tech, like name another school, a school in SEC, let's say like Arkansas or something to that degree. I don't care. Like, congratulations, good job. The fact that it's USC, it just is absolutely got a lot more, sting to it. So. It's a pain in the ass, but he's also, here's the other one, bud, is that yes, he's being successful, theoretically right now, but it all has to come to fruition on the field. Yeah. And it has to, it's going to have to be where they see results on the field. And as of right now, the last thing I remember about USC is us picking them off twice and taking it to the house over 100 yards. So to me, I'm like, hey, whatever. We'll see you this year, and we'll get after it, and that'll be that. But I understand, like, there's one of those things where you start comparing, especially when a guy came from your program and then goes to your rival's program and quote unquote is theoretically doing better. It makes you just kind of go, okay, what's happening? But at the same time, it all has to happen out on the field. And so until that occurs, I'll kind of reserve the right for the full judgment, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's like, USC's trying to build a big fence around, the Southern California talent or whatever, not let them get away. Yeah. That should always be how it is at USC. They should always have the market on any of that top West Coast talent. And it just didn't happen early on with Lincoln Riley. You lose some guys to Nike. I mean, Oregon. Like, you're going to lose some. It should always be that way. USC should always have the lockdown on any of the West Coast guys and whatever. And they let that get away from them. And now they're trying to get it back. Here's the other thing I wonder too. For all the LA glitz and glamour and all that, I don't know how much actual donor money they've had to be spending on NIL and all that. Like, you think Hollywood, LA, all that California money, it feels like just now they're starting to crank it up. So I don't know if they found more money from Hollywood or what they're doing. I don't know.
Hollywood could care less about USC.
Yeah, exactly.
In all honesty.
Yeah.
Aside from, Snoop Dogg and some other guys, the majority of them could care less. Yeah. They're wrapped up in their own world, sitting up in their mansions somewhere else. They could care less.
Snoop,
when it comes down, you know what I'm saying?
Snoop owns 146 companies. He alone could finance USC's NIL and get every 5-star. That guy owns every company there is. He's on like 4 commercials in a row, back to back to back. It's amazing.
Right. No doubt. But, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too worried about it, and the donor money and all that kind of stuff. I think it comes down to the people that are going to make a program and make a school, bolstered up to the level of, let's say, like kind of where Ohio State is. I hate saying it, but as far as where they have all the money in the world, they have all the resources in the world, or let's say Texas, are going to be those that really care about that institution, that really want to see them succeed. And they are more, kind of enthralled with that program and with that success than, let's say, a lot of the people down south of me, sitting in Hollywood or wherever, that are looking at USC, because there's so many other things that they are wrapped up into. So I just feel like I'm not too worried about it. I feel like we get out there, when we play them and we beat their tail again, and just maybe the recruits will start flowing our way, because it's like, well, are you guys ever going to beat Notre Dame? Because maybe I need to go out that way. And especially if we keep putting players in the NFL, not just from the offensive line, but look at the 2 people that are probably going to be going in the draft first more than anybody is going to be who? Benjamin Morrison and Xavier Watts, more than likely. So if you're looking at from there, you're looking at defensive specialty type of players. Riley Mills, if he didn't get hurt, I feel like he's a 2nd or 3rd rounder. I just feel like the next step for us is going to be that wide receiver room and bolstering that up. And then, all the recruits, I really hope will start, falling in line.
Goolsby keeps talking to me about, John, when you look at like Ohio State or whatever with wide receiver, he's like, these top high school players, 5'9", I'm coming to you. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Goolsby always talks about, he's like, man, these guys want to go play where they see in the college a direct line to the NFL. And so if you're a wide receiver, you would want to look for college programs that have a recent history of having a pipeline right to the NFL, which shows they could develop that group. And Notre Dame doesn't have that at a position like wide receiver right now. But then that puts you in a chicken or the egg scenario where it's like you need that to attract guys, but you got to get that before you could get there. So like something has to change to break the mold to where that gets on the radar, right? It's just like, I understand the concept, but you can't just keep kicking it down the road without you changing it to put yourself there. So I don't know. It's a tough deal. Yeah, it's a tough deal.
And it's not like they're not trying, right? It's not like they're not trying. I'm sure they're out there. They're trying to recruit the wide receivers that they want to bring in, but it just hasn't happened yet. And sometimes in these kind of scenarios, you need a diamond in the rough. You need somebody that's that 3-star whatever that turns out to be the next Floyd or whoever, or Golden Tate, and I mean, name it. And it's like you need somebody to just kind of become that person. And if that does occur, then and you put that person into the NFL, then maybe it attracts a recruit or two. And then from there, you got to work on them. It takes time. It just takes a long time. And unfortunately for us, as Notre Dame fans and football fans in general, we just don't have the patience for it as much because we're like, where is our wide receivers? It's year after year after year.
Yeah.
It makes it tough.
Okay. So I'm going to try and enjoy the rest of spring. I'm going to go to Florida for a couple weeks, kind of get out of my routine, refresh myself, breathe in some ocean air, that kind of thing. We're going to get into spring ball and I'm open to this all rounding back into form, but I definitely understand the anxiety right now. And I just think it's extra frustrating when you've had the best year that you've had in a very long time. It's very frustrating to not see a direct result lining up with recruiting. And I don't know whether that was fair to expect or not. Maybe that was ignorant of or naive of anybody to think that's all it was going to take. But that is frustrating. You had the best year you've had in 30 years. You would expect a little of an easier bump there. And maybe the landscape's changing and that's just not moving the needle. And you got to do more. So I don't know, man. It's a little anxiety producing, but we still have plenty of time. And I'm not going to spend all spring hitting my head against the wall over it, but it is fair to ask these questions. Anything on the way out, man? Definitely. Thanks for your call as always.
Great talking with you as usual, John. I'm out the door to take the kids to school. So I will get to you. Let's see. We'll talk on Friday.
Hey, beautiful, man. And you're out in California. Go figure out what Chad's doing and ruin it. Would you? Help us out there. Help us out there, man.
Hey, if I can avoid going down to USC area, I do it at all costs.
Yeah, there you go. That's you're a good man. You're a good man.
Down in San Diego. Right. San Diego to me is a whole different world. That is, and that's why I went to school there. But USC area, I'm out.
Yeah, I always say to people, I wouldn't mind if California just kind of broke off into the Pacific a lot of time. But I want all my people to get out first. I want all my people to get out first and then let it happen. But I want you guys to be okay. Hey, man, get those.
Hey, John. If you ever go full Lex Luger and like blow California off into the Pacific, just give me a heads up. Okay?
Yeah, we're going to get all of our always Irish people out of there, man. Hey, get those kids off to school. Always good hearing for you. Thanks for the regularity on the calls in the off season, man. I need it. Thank you.
You got it, John. Take care, buddy.
Have a good one. Oh, man. Let's go 559 on the line. I'm sure he's going to bring some positivity. One thing I wanted to mention, you guys are talking about we need some of these guys like a Golden Tate or whatever. Do you know how often I think of like a Golden Tate, a Will Fuller, and a Mike Floyd? Do you guys remember how good Mike Floyd got in playing young and everything? I think about Mike Floyd all the time as far as Notre Dame. wide receivers. I don't understand what's going on in the chat with Tony. He's talking about now he's in 3 world wars. What's going on? We were talking about recruiting, and now the guy's telling Vietnam stories. God bless you for your service. I just don't have any idea what's going on. I don't have any idea what's going on. I missed the beginning of this argument. What's the deal? 559 up on the line. What's up, baby?
What's up, John? How's it going, guys? Good morning to you guys all. I hope you guys have a great vacation coming up pretty soon.
Oh, thanks.
But I want to talk real quick because I'm at work, boss. I got to make this quick and I got to make this fast. Like, we knew change was going to come.
Yeah.
We knew it. We were tired of getting all these commits, and it was very frustrating to see how we would be there and then all of a sudden lose these guys towards the end. I had told you before, signing day ain't until December. This is March. This was going to happen. You know, the fruits of this run, it ain't going to be this year. It'll be next year. That's when we're going to see the benefit of this run that we were on, you know. And there's a change when it comes to an adaptability and comes to a whole different type of thing. We don't need to go after the top recruits, wide receivers that are out there that we think that should be goals. Notre Dame needs to focus on what's best for Notre Dame, and that's it. And right now, we need to develop our own goddamn quarterback that's going to throw over so many yards and so many touchdowns that's going to attract these kids. Right now, these kids have no reason to come to Notre Dame, and that's a fact. Because we haven't proven and haven't developed a quarterback of our own. And that's why I tell you, we need CJ Clark or Kenny Minchey to move forward. Stop the BS and stop the crying. Develop our players, develop our receivers, and we're going to show why we're going to run Notre Dame, and we will get every single goddamn recruit that we want to get. Until then, hush up with all that. And let me say another thing. Now, let me defend my fan base, man, because this is really pissing me off. There's certain podcasters out there that complain about, oh, the fan base is overreacting. The fan base is overreacting. Well, you know what? That's because we're passionate about what we love. And we give you content to talk about. So stop making it sound like we're some goddamn idiots and we don't know what to... Because you know what? Because you're feeding off of our reaction. So I hate when those people talk about us like that. We love Notre Dame. We all have our opinion. And that's why we call certain shows like yourself that allow us to vent and speak about what we love and what we feel at that moment, at that time. We are Notre Dame fans. We're good, ugly, fat, skinny, different cultures, but yet we show why we love Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, then get off the podcast business, bro, because you're about content. If not, then move on, player. Let the real content people, let the real podcasters be out there. Let us have a damn voice.
Yeah, it's man, and I do like what you said, that it is only March and nothing's official with recruiting, and maybe we need to relax and chill out, man. Maybe you're right.
It's not that we don't have to chill out. Yeah, there's a reason why we're worried and all that, because we're so used to getting all these commitments and being the number 1, number 2 recruiting class already in so long. And we have all these guys already. We have all these guys committed at the moment, but then when it comes down to signing day, we lose all of them. We lose the ones that we wanted. So, you know, which one is it too? You know what I mean? You can't just have it your way only and feel good about it. You know, you're gonna go through some turmoil. You're gonna go through some change. We got a guy that understands this whole new dynamic of free agency, basically, and how it's gonna have to look. So for us to be where we need to be and pay the players that we want to really pay, because we're not gonna throw boatloads of money to these people, but on the defensive tackle, you're going to have to give something up. You're going to have to change that strategy. That's for sure. Yeah. So with that, it comes adaptability, my guy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, my friend. Thanks for taking the time to call me. I know you're busy at work and all that, and hopefully I see you at Blue and Gold.
Yeah, well, you know, John, not this project that we're on. We have no days off until like maybe the middle of June, hopefully.
Well, hey,
we have only one day off every.
You got to do what you got to do. I
got to make my money.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, man. Sir. And then maybe I'll see you at the regular game tailgate come September, man. I love you. Thanks for touching base.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I'll send you something on Saturday night on your DM. Take a look at it.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll take a look. I'm a little backed up. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. You know what? I'm going to say it again. I really appreciate people that are in the middle of a manual labor work day and they take the time to talk about Notre Dame. I really appreciate that. How about this, you guys? Ohio Pod, good to see you, Eric. Hope you enjoyed your time in Florida. What a treat. The linebacker himself, Mike Goolsby, calling on the morning show. I don't know if that's happened before, but let's get it. What's going on, Mike?
John, you hear me okay?
Yep, I got you.
Hey, in regards to this spring game tailgate podcast, etc., I've got a little bit of news.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my line's So that that play like a champion bourbon.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a few bottles. We're working on a little promo deal.
Oh.
So and apparently, I just got off the phone earlier today with some people, and apparently, like, there's only a handful of bottles, or like there's like one case left. As before they go to make more, obviously. But we're gonna have like 2 or 3 bottles at the tailgate. Maybe have something going at the podcast too. So I was gonna call you. I was like, hey, John's live. Let me just call into the show. And let you know.
There we go. Yeah, make it. That's perfect, man. This is all coming together good, man. I'm excited, Mike. We're maximizing. If we're being in town, we're gonna max it out. I'm excited about where this is all headed.
Absolutely. So, and real quick, I didn't have a chance to listen in. What are folks saying about this? That UFC, Mike Williams receiver, Chad Bowden kind of taking some shots. I assume you know what I'm referencing. Do people have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. There's just a lot of general frustration. It's general frustration overall with the recruiting thing. And then it's Chad, man. Mike, there's just something about your former guy going to your rival and then having some early success. And he's kind of trolling, but not too much, but kind of doing it. And it's just everybody's just frustrated. There's anxiety about the recruiting, Mike.
Yeah, there's anxiety about the recruiting thing. Yeah, and it does feel like I wouldn't call it quite passive aggressive in terms of like what they're doing, but it is interesting that it's like, I'm very curious to see what Marcus Freeman and staff, what they do to, as the kids would say, clap back at USC, right? Because that was definitely a shot across the bow. That was a shot across the bow, and I'm just curious to see what our response is, if any. It's getting some good, healthy off-season Twitter beef,
Yeah, it's man, it's just, and you know what else has come up before you joined today, Mike? Remember when you brought up Notre Dame's going to have to change the way they approach some of the recruiting, so you're not a sitting duck there with a commitment, but a soft commitment, and you get manipulated and leveraged for a better deal or whatever. People are open to that, saying that like maybe that's what's going on, and you're going to see things happen differently with recruiting, and it's going to change the timing that we've been kind of used to. Are you buying that, or is that an excuse?
Well, you kind of have to well, we will find out, right? I mean, it's all going to come out in the wash, but if you're looking, like we talked about the other night on Patreon, if I'm trying to talk Johnny off the ledge, that's probably the angle I'm going to take. But there's a level of irony there too, in that we talk about NIL as it was meant to be in terms of endorsement deals and marketing opportunities, and what it's turned into in terms of just upfront cash for high school kids. But in regard to the former, like the marketing, the branding, it really did feel like some of these big shot kids, and in particular, like a Deuce Knight, and it might have been unintentional, it might have been intentional, but they date us, they get engaged, we're at the altar, and they walk away, and they sort of, these high-end big shot recruits, they use Notre Dame's national branding to build their own personal brand as players, to expand their kind of reach. And I do think that's happened.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known, your average college football fan wouldn't have known who Peyton Bowen is had he not, got in bed with Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, so maybe there's patience warranted. Mike, the thing people are pushing back on me on is, when I say you were behind schedule because you had to hire that GM and you just didn't have a guy in place, and then you had to hire out the recruiting staff underneath him, and it takes time. Nobody wants to hear that. Like, I'm asking if that is a practical reason to buy us some patience here before everybody has anxiety. And people are saying that's kind of an excuse. And so, but it's just a practical fact of where Notre Dame was at after the season ended. But people are saying that's an excuse.
Yeah, but if it's an excuse, that doesn't mean it's invalid either.
Yeah.
And then to build on, that, Mike Martin, your new GM, I mean, he let all of us know he doesn't know about recruiting. So, I mean,
yep.
This might be a month of pain. It might be 6 months of pain until we can get our feet up underneath ourselves. So,
yeah.
But like anything, I mean, Marcus Freeman took some lumps as the head coach until he kind of figured it out. And it might be the case where you're betting on Mike Martin and just some of his character traits and his work ethic that's going to guide him until he becomes an expert at this recruiting thing. So you have to have a little bit of trust without knowing, as coach tells us all the time.
Yep. Yeah. And that causes anxiety too, because everybody wants to know and feel good every day when they wake up. And that trust without seeing yet causes people anxiety. And then you bring up another good point. I always struggle with this in the football world. The difference between something being an excuse and a reason, right? Like, those are different words, but in football, like, they get blended, and it's like, something, is it an excuse or is it a reason that something happened? And I struggle with that here.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, the word excuse carries a negative connotation for sure.
Yeah. So that's a part of it, but I don't know, man. People are just, the Chad thing is adding gasoline to the anxiety fire. Nobody likes seeing that guy succeed at USC and feel like it's at our expense. So maybe we just need to chill out a little bit, but that's hard for people to do, especially for me.
I'll tell you, I mean, you could spin it this way, and that wide receiver position has been a bugaboo for the program for years, decades on end. And you see, USC and Clemson, kind of stealing away some of our Notre Dame targets. Boy, it just puts more pressure on the quarterback play going forward and making the offense look exciting and look appealing to these, to these wide receiver prospects, these high-end kids.
Yeah. Do you think the fact that we don't know who the quarterback's going to be is a part of this that hurts it? Or is that just is that an excuse too of like, who wants to commit when you don't even know who the quarterback's going to be or whatever? Well, it's like, you can't win no matter what you do then. And then you got Riley Leonard and he committed, but he wasn't known for passing. So did that hurt the cause last year too? So I've been seeing people say that. Do you think there's any validity to that part of it? Or is it the offense overall of what Notre Dame's looked like with the skill stuff?
We've said it for a couple of years now. I mean, as far as recruiting skill talent, and if I'm Ohio State and I'm in a race against Notre Dame to get some 4 or 5-star receiver, it's so easy to negatively recruit against Notre Dame. It's like we do it to ourselves. Hey, just look at the national championship game. Okay. So offensively, the story for us was, the thing that we were going to kind of be proud of or hang your hat on is Riley Leonard carrying the ball 9 times in the first drive. Gets the wind knocked out of him, shows the toughness. He's vomiting on the sidelines. But it's like, that's our brand, right? Just downhill smash mouth football. And then conversely, Ohio State, it's like 3rd and 9, and they just throw it up to their all-world wide receiver. You could tell a recruit 2 different stories. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So go look at Notre Dame's performance in the Natty. Go look at our performance in the Natty. The offense has to become more appealing to those skilled kids. And then beyond that, the next thing that follows is hopefully, fingers crossed, you have higher draft picks. And that's going to change. Until you can get kids drafted, I don't see it changing dramatically.
Isn't that a chicken and the egg thing, Mike? You're like, if you're able to build that pipeline to the NFL at that position, it's attractive and appealing to these top recruits. But you're not there yet. So you need something to happen that changes changes that outlook on that position in Notre Dame, right? We can't just keep kicking it down the road. Like you need one or two of those guys to emerge to change kind of that inclination of what people think and feel about the wide receiver room. I don't know. Who could that be?
I agree. I mean, and it's so funny that wide receiver recruiting is sort of starting to mirror what we've experienced at the quarterback position in terms of transfer after transfer after transfer. So this year, you had the kick returner kid, you had the FIU transfer Chris Mitchell, and then some of your young studs like a Mikey Gilbert, a Cam Williams, they don't see the field because of it. And it's like now you've got Malachi Fields coming in, you got Will Pauling coming in. It's like, when are these Cam Williams, Mikey Gilbert, KK Smith going to get a chance to put their talent on display and show high school recruits this is what it might look like for you?
Yeah. It's and then one final question for you. Somebody put this in the chat. This is a good one. Do you think it would serve Notre Dame well to have a quarterback for multiple years, 2 to 3 years, hitch a wagon to one of these young guys, and then you build around him and you have that consistency compared to the one and done we've been doing? My answer to that is yes, but only if you pick the right quarterback and he develops, right? Like, is that not the answer to that question? Is yes, that would be good for stability and knowing all this, but only if you pick the right guy and he develops quickly, right? Am I wrong about this?
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, as with anything, dude, there's a ton of nuance in that. But yes, to answer your question, I think to establish a program, you got to have a guy there for, 2 years, ideally under center, to like just build a program, to build some consistency. But then, yes, you say you got to pick the right guy and develop them. So, Steve Angeli, you kind of know what you've got. CJ Carr, super accurate, very smart, clinical approach to the game. He's probably a prodigy, right? He's very well developed for as young as he is. And then a Kenny Minchie, got a ton of physical tools, still needs to develop. So what are you going to bet on? I mean,
yeah.
How are you going to play that out?
Yeah.
Do you go with the guy with the most physical upside, or do you go to the safe route?
Yep. It's man, it is a new world in 25 for Notre Dame. A lot of changes in the program, in the recruiting operation, the staff. You got guys to replace. We're going to get in. When I get off the phone with you, we're going to break down some position groups where people feel confident in, where they feel like we might be lacking or there's concern. I don't know, Mike. As the world turns in Notre Dame land, it's always something.
Always something. There's always something, always Irish. I'll let you go, John.
There you go. Have a good work day, Mike, and good job with this deal. We'll talk more. Thanks a lot.
All right, see ya.
Have a good one. Oh, it's always good to have the captain linebacker call in. It's always good. A couple things here. Number one is I see a debate going on. Listen, look at it this way. If you're that anxious during the blue and gold game and all the tailgate, drink this play like a champion stuff and just relax your nerves, baby. It's the best promo I have. I see this debate going on in the chat. And the debate is, was Notre Dame closer than we think with Ohio State, or was there a huge talent gap against Ohio State? You guys, this is weird, but depending on what day it is or whatever, I see this differently. In a lot of ways, I look at the 14 5-stars to 1 that Ohio State and Notre Dame brought into that game, and then you could see where there was times where you looked overmatched. And then there's a way of my brain where I could think about that game and be like, we really weren't that far away, and we were really banged up, and we went in there with some position groups that we knew I didn't think were that elite, and you made it to the final game. And then here's the other thing about like Notre Dame getting blown out by Ohio State or whatever. It's the closest playoff title game there's been in a really long time. So for all the feelings of it not going well and Notre Dame got smoked or whatever, it's like it ended up being the closest title game there's been in a lot of years. So it's hard to make that argument if you zoom out and look at the history of the title game. So depending on my mood and what I choose to think about, I can find ways to be like, we were really not that far away and we were really banged up and whatever. And then on the other hand, you could be like, yeah, we got smoked for a while and it looked really ugly and we got outmatched. So I can vacillate between, depending on where my mind is. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me. I really don't know if it does, but that's how I'm thinking of it. This is something else Mike's talked about, Andrew. Hyde brought up an interesting point. Can Aeneas Williams beat out JD Price for number 2? Goolsby has brought this up multiple times. And what I've learned from working with him on Patreon so much, when Mike brings up something multiple times, multiple different ways, from multiple different angles, it kind of tells me that it's sticking to him and he thinks there's something there. He has literally brought this up and said, John, I would not be surprised if it happened. So I think that's very, very interesting. Andrew, USC's loaded with NIL. Boosters are like Notre Dame, though. They want a return on investment. I think that's fair. Look at this. Slip 40 more days until the return of WPP and we get our moral compass back. Yeah, and we'll figure out what all of our IQ levels are too. Look at this from Dodger. Ain't this the truth? This is hilarious. My egg omelet costs as much as a backup wide receiver. Those egg prices, man. Those egg prices are going to get you. You know it's bad when places like Waffle House and Denny's have to start charging an egg surcharge, bro. Did you guys see that? I just think it's like, that's how you know you have a problem. When a place like Denny's, where you could stuff your face for $3.99 or whatever, has to start charging that. I don't think it's that price isn't good. It's just that Aeneas Williams maybe just overtakes him. It's not that price is bad. It's just that they like what Aeneas can do. And you know what's in my brain? The runs are the runs. But I think about when he rolled out and caught like the 30, 40-yard pass, I think it was against Penn State, and he leaked out down the sideline and made a great catch. Like, I think about that. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, when a place like Waffle House and Denny's starts needing to charge you more for your $3 breakfast, you got problems, man. Everybody needs a chicken coop in the backyard. I actually know someone who bought some land like out in the country in the suburbs around here. And the guy started raising chickens and stuff, and they lay perfect, huge eggs. And he is a little side hustle where he put a sign on the main road and people pull in there and pay him for the eggs. He don't got to do nothing. You feed them chickens, whatever they eat. I don't know what chickens eat. You dump some stuff and they peck around, and then they dump out these eggs, and then people just pull in there and they want fresh eggs from this guy and not at the store. And he says they're bigger and they're fresher, and you could tell the difference. And I don't know anything about any of this, but he's like, legitimately, my natural chickens out in this like pen in this field, they dump out bigger, fresher, higher quality eggs. And the guy's got a side hustle now selling them. It's amazing. Nature. It's like how it was in the old days, man. I'm thinking of like the Wizard of Oz, man. Annie M out there in the chicken coop pen or whatever. Johnny, I bet the chicken's diet's pretty similar to yours. I've never seen a chicken eat a plain cheeseburger before. Always Amish. I've been spending most of my life living in an Amish paradise. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's really, really funny. Just picture me churning butter. I'm out there with the stick, mashing that thing. Johnny's got a meeting for, I got a meeting for, I'm trying to do, when I come into town for Blue and Gold, I have a couple meetings set up for people that I want to advertise with or kind of barter and make a deal with in town. What if I just pull up in a horse and buggy, bro? Just I just, and I just pull up. I park that horse out front. You want to talk about making an appearance at the blue and gold game. What if I roll in there in a horse and buggy, bro? Some Snoop Dogg bumping from my speaker in the back, and I roll in there with the horse and buggy right up to the tailgate. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that is funny stuff. Man, that is good. You guys are hilarious. I like this. Couple more things I wanted to go about. Irish football pod. Anxieties are recruiting. Where are these elite commits and why aren't we getting any? I like the directness. We're not beating around the bush. I like how direct you're being about this. I think it's hilarious. I am open, and you must be, to be a responsible Notre Dame fan, you've got to be open to the idea that we all got frustrated getting burned at the altar with high-level guys that were committed to us for a year, and then we lose them. I think we must be open to the possibility they really are going to do things differently, and it's going to look different than we're used to, and change can cause anxiety, especially when it's change you're not in on, and we don't know the change in philosophy or a change in recruiting theory or timing or what they're going to do. I think it's perfectly fair to have these anxieties. I'm going to try and keep an open mind, but it is hard. Not going to lie. It's frustrating. You'd rather get guys than not get guys. I get it. Go Irish. It's only March. These teams now have to hold on to the commits till December. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's kind of what I'm getting at with the Notre Dame got burned so many times. There has not been one Freeman recruiting class that is not ended with the top guys burning Notre Dame. I think that's very informative. I think that's very, very informative to keep in mind. There has not been 1 year where that has not happened. And if Freeman wants to change that, maybe this looks very, very differently, and they try and load up on the top-end targets later in the cycle to try and do something different. Let's be honest about it. Let's be honest about it. We don't have a good history getting the guys in and then keeping them. But it's going to cause anxiety. How do I put it? When you log in June on Rivals 247 and you want to see a Deuce Knight committed to Notre Dame and it keeps the whole class in the top 5 and you feel good about all that, and then you don't land the guys and the class drops like a rock, that sucks. You're also all going to be frustrated if we're ranked number 19 in recruiting and you don't have those guys all summer. So you're like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Because we're going to have anxiety either way. The track record is every time we have these top level guys committed for a long time, we lose them. That doesn't make anybody happy. And if you try and slow play it and do it differently and catch these guys later to avoid being leveraged for NIL deals, you're going to be uncomfortable all through the summer as long as you don't have those top commits. You're going to go, where are the top commits? So you're right. You're going to be frustrated no matter what happens. OSU loses 5-star commitments virtually every year. Yeah, and then they have 14 others that beat you in the title game. Yeah, they lose 5 stars every year. They brought 14 to town in the title game. So yeah, they lose a few, but they get a lot. So we are down low on purpose. That's one theory. That is one theory. But it isn't going to make any of us feel any better, because even if that is happening, it's behind the scenes. You don't know about it. They don't want people to know about it. Brian, I get that it's like funny to laugh at, like, oh yeah, we're not getting IN recruits on purpose. Look at the history. Every time we've done it, we've gotten burned and not landed those guys. Every single class Freeman's had, the top 1 or 2 or 3 guys or whatever leave. They leave. You don't land them. So who am I to say that they're not mixing it up and it could work out? Kent saying, how many 5 stars did Georgia bring to the table and you still beat them? I ain't that excuse. That's a fair point. I just think, man, Georgia was not typical Georgia, though. That all looked and felt a little out of sync. It was just not it was not a typical Georgia team put together. It didn't look like and feel like to me. Yeah, we're all a little jumpy, Brian. I get it. That's a sorry-ass excuse, John. Well, Kent, I don't know what to tell you. Enjoy your 14 5 stars at Ohio State while I try and get one, okay? Oh, man. Freeman and staff were the coaches of the playoff easily. They did. They did a great job, man. They accomplished a lot. And I think Freeman gained a lot of credibility there. It comes down to a matter of what are you going to do with it? And how can you parlay that into further success, right? Like that's where we go. So I don't know, you guys. All right, folks, that's going to be it for the show today. Some of these are running a little shorter in the off season. Not a lot of calls, not a ton of juice, a ton of stuff going on. But this is an engaging conversation. And I guess I'm like always, I have my bullet points. We didn't even get to them. So I guess we're just going to do it on Friday. I thank everybody for being here. Great call by good to have Goolsby call in and break some news. We got a little deal going on with we have some bourbon there on the table. Thank you guys so much. I love doing this show. And in the off season, we could stretch out a little bit, talk about some broader picture things. It's always fun being with you guys, mixing it up. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the donation. Love you guys. Have a good day. Be good.